All right, meet my friend Ludwig. He spent his entire existence as a disembodied brain in a vat of liquid. He's never had the experience of a body like yours or mine. So he's never seen a sunset with eyes or heard a dog barking with ears. He's never felt the texture of anything with fingers. But he has had experiences because Ludwig is hooked up to a very sophisticated computer that we can use to send stimulus to the brain that causes activity in the brain, Ludwig's brain, that is identical to the kinds of activity that's caused in our brains when we have our experiences of reality. So as I'm walking down a nice sunny street in Arizona, enjoying the feeling of that dry warmth on my skin, looking up at that brilliant blue sky, looking out at the horizon, this experience is starting with my sense organs taking in data from the world out there and bringing it into here and then processing it in my mind into a mental event, an experience where I believe that I have this sort of portrait or this picture in my mind of what my experience of reality is. Well, if we could recreate the same brain activity that's giving me that experience in Ludwig, if we could recreate that same brain activity in Ludwig, wouldn't he have the same kind of experience? Would he be having an experience if the brain was activated in the same way that my brain is activated when I have my experience of reality? And if so, does that mean that Ludwig might have beliefs? If Ludwig is having a mental event that's identical to the mental event I have when I experience reality, would Ludwig have beliefs about his experiences? And we'd probably say, well, yeah. He would believe that he was having his experiences just like you believe you're having yours, right? I have this belief about what occurred when I walked through this sunny Arizona street. And if Ludwig had that same mental event occur, he would probably also have beliefs about that experience. But then he's like, okay, but can he justify those beliefs? In other words, can he provide reason for believing that his beliefs are actually true? And this is where it starts to get a little shaky for us, because we'd realize, like, well, Ludwig's in the vat. He didn't really experience what he thought he was experiencing. So he would provide justification for why he believes he has these experiences the same way that we would, right? So if I made the claim that I walked down this sunny street in Arizona and enjoyed looking at the sky and felt the warmth on my skin, you'd say, well, what makes you believe that that actually occurred? And I might say something like, well, I remember it. I was there. Or I might produce a receipt that shows, look, I stayed in this hotel on this date. Okay? And I would be providing you justification for my beliefs about my experiences. And it seems like Ludwig could do the exact same thing. We just have to stimulate the brain to have that kind of activity when it's providing that justification. But we know something, right? You and I know that Ludwig's having kind of a simulated experience. Ludwig's in the Matrix. Ludwig's in a simulated world. He doesn't actually know what he's experiencing. He doesn't have knowledge. And this is what we're going to start looking at. Ludwig clearly has beliefs. Ludwig can provide justification for those beliefs that are similar kinds of justifications that we might provide. But Ludwig doesn't seem to have knowledge of what's actually occurring. He doesn't seem to know the nature of his experience because, again, he's plugged into this computer. And he doesn't realize it. He doesn't realize he's plugged into a computer any more than those folks at the bottom of Plato's cave didn't realize that there was a huge world outside of that cave. When they were in that cave, the only thing they had ever known, the only thing they could know, was what was right in front of them. So they would have had no reason to speculate about what else there might be that they have no perception of. And Ludwig is sort of caught in this same trap, right? He's confined to this liquid, plugged into a computer, believing that he has experiences like we do of reality when we know that he doesn't. So he doesn't really know what's going on with him, and he can't get outside of the vat in order to verify that his experiences are what he thinks they are. Okay? So Ludwig can't have knowledge of the outside world. He might believe he has knowledge of his experiences, but that knowledge isn't of the reality of his experiences, right? He thinks he has knowledge, he thinks he knows, but he actually kind of doesn't. We know that he doesn't know, but he doesn't know that he doesn't know. And he can't have knowledge of the outside world. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute here. I don't necessarily have knowledge of the outside world either, do I? I mean, I'm kind of trapped in my body. I don't know if red looks the same way to you as it does to me. I don't know, as I'm looking out of my backyard and it appears a particular way, I don't know if that's the way it actually is, because I'll never have an experience of reality that isn't filtered through my particular sense organs. I only know what the way things appear to me to be, and I can't actually verify that they are as I perceive them to be. And this is called the problem of knowledge. And that's what we're going to start to look at here, the problem of knowledge. And you can sort of see this represented here in this cartoon. It's a tropical paradise, and there's a woman sitting down here reading Scientific American, I guess indicating that she's very bright. And she says, "Darling, I know we have just recently met, and I know you have some issues with my being a millionaire, but you're the most amazing man I've ever known. Marry me." And it says right here, it was at that precise moment Stanley realized that he may very well be a brain in a vat. In other words, Stanley comes to doubt, this can't be the real world. This can't be reality. I'm too much of a dork to be having this kind of luck. I must be a brain in a vat, and somebody's just creating this ideal reality for me. So when we start to look at the problem of knowledge, we're entering into an area of philosophy called epistemology, which is just a fancy term for saying the study of knowledge. Okay, so we looked at metaphysics, we looked at ontology, these branches of philosophy that look at, ask questions like, what's reality like? What exists? How does it exist? How is reality structured? Well, now we're going to be looking at a different set of questions. We're going to look at questions like, well, what exactly is knowledge? How is it different from belief? How are they related? Can I have knowledge without having beliefs? And if I have beliefs, does that mean that I have knowledge? And if I can figure out what this thing is called knowledge, how do I acquire it? In other words, how do I get it? And what can I actually know? What can I acquire knowledge about? What are the types of things that I can know? And what are the types of things that I can't know? Are there things that simply can't be known ever by human beings? Are there things that are impossible to ever know? Things you might be able to believe, but impossible to ever know. And if we do think it's possible to know things, and we do think that we know, how do we know that we know we know? Okay, and I know that sounds like a little bit of word salad, but think about it. When I make a claim to knowledge, when I say I know something about reality, and I say this is not just a belief, I know this, somebody's going to say, well, how do you know that you know you know? In other words, how can you justify this claim that you're making about the nature of reality? So this is the ride that we're getting ready to go on, the ride of epistemology and into questions about belief and knowledge.